Hi guys, happy Thanksgiving. It's almost time. We're previewing our video early this week so that you can see it in time for Thanksgiving in case you have a couple more dishes you need to make. So this video, I'm going to just introduce a couple of ideas of ways you can substitute ingredients to make a healthy Thanksgiving treat. Okay, so one of my favorite Thanksgiving foods is casserole dishes. And one of my favorite types of casseroles is green bean casserole. So one of the things that I've figured out is a way to still make these traditional foods that I grew up with, but using alternative ingredients so I don't have to feel so guilty about it. So one traditional green bean recipe that most people are familiar with, all you need to do, the one that has like the green beans and like the soupy sauce and the little fried onions on top, that one's a really easy recipe. And all you need to do is look for organic green beans, an organic cream of mushroom sauce that is gluten-free. I found a brand right here. It's harder to find these at a traditional grocery store. I found most of my gluten-free specialty products at a place like Whole Foods, maybe Nature's Corners Market, maybe Sprouts, possibly Trader Joe's, I don't know about them. But they definitely can be found. It's just a little bit trickier, but that's where a lot of times gluten can be hidden. So you want to find something, this one brand is organic and it's gluten-free. That recipe also, I found some green beans that you can use that are organic. Now we don't use canned foods very often in this house because they're not as full of nutrients, but it's Thanksgiving, so as long as the can is BPA free and it's organic, then we'll have some fun. And then I found these little crispy onions. They are organic and they're gluten-free, so this you can sprinkle on the top. So just think creatively. When you see recipes, try to think, how can I substitute this ingredient or that ingredient? Okay, so for this recipe, it's so easy to make, but it is so unique and so yummy, and you have to try it. And I got this recipe from my mom. I don't know where she got it from. I don't know if she got it from her mom, maybe. I need to ask her. But what I did is I just found some substitute ingredients. So the first layer calls for French-style green beans. So I was able to find some organic ones. So again, just you have to shop strategically. Sometimes you may have to go to more of a specialty shop, but these types of products are available. And if you have to cheat, you have to cheat. Another option is frozen green beans. Let them thaw out and then drain them, and you can substitute with frozen. Frozen definitely holds more nutrients in them. Okay, the second layer is corn, sweet corn. It calls for shoe peg corn. I couldn't find that and I wasn't quite sure what that meant, but I think this is the closest substitute. It's sweet corn. Now we don't eat a lot of grains in our house, especially not corn. Make sure if you get corn that it's organic, because most corn out there is genetically modified. It's GMO. So this one is frozen, so I'll let it thaw out and then I'll use it as the instructions tell me to. So that's another way. Again, you don't want to avoid cans when you can and avoid non-organic when you can. So that's the second layer. The third layer is the sliced water chestnuts. So I was able to find some organic ones. Sometimes it's hard to find these at the store that are organic, but it's not a deal breaker if they're not. Again, it's Thanksgiving. We're just trying our best to be as little guilt as possible, but this would be the next layer. The next layer is a combination of, it calls for cream of celery soup, but I actually can't find any cream of celery soup that's gluten-free so far. I haven't found any. So what I'm going to do, I should say, because I haven't made it yet, is I'm going to use this cream of mushroom soup that's organic and gluten-free, and I'm going to add celery salt to it. I read somewhere on the internet that this can help you. Also, if you cook down some celery and add it, it can help add that celery flavor that the cream of celery soup would have added. So I'm going to experiment, but I'm confident enough that it's going to taste good that I'm already telling you about this. So you mix this with sour cream. I'm not giving you the specifics today because I'm just telling you what you do, and you're going to see the specifics though on your screen. So again, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, and then, oh, this is also in layer 4. This is an onion that you dice up. In the next layer, I think this is in layer 4 too, actually. In the next layer, we're gonna have cheese. So I don't typically buy the pre-shredded cheese because I don't trust it as much. Usually they add things in it so that it doesn't, it retains the texture. So typically I get blocks of cheese and I shred it myself so that it's pure cheese and nothing else. Typically we also look, this is organic, so that's great, but typically we also look for raw cheese, and they don't really sell it, but if you can get it unpasteurized, we get that, because the pasteurization process we don't think is a good thing. But again, this is gonna be melted, it's for a casserole, and it's for Thanksgiving. So I went ahead and got this to make it simple on myself. So you sprinkle this on top, and then the next step is it calls the typical traditional green bean casserole would be Ritz crackers. So I couldn't find any that were gluten-free, although I think Glutino might make some. They just didn't have it at the store. But these I thought might be good. I got two types. I'm gonna see which one tastes better, but you're gonna crumble them up and saute them with butter. And oh, that's where the garlic salt came in, right here. And this is gonna be a yummy crispy top layer on the top. And then finally sprinkle it with almonds, sliced almonds on the top. Typically you wanna get organic nuts. They didn't have them at the store, however, these are non-GMO, so that's a really great step. Okay, so it looks more complicated, but it's just you put a layer, a layer, a layer, a layer, a layer, and then you bake it. It's so simple, and it's so incredibly delicious. Another yummy food that some of your family may have at Thanksgiving is a type of pound cake, some kind of yummy treat. So last week I made a recipe for a yummy, healthy, delicious cake that's easy and doesn't take long to make. So check that video out too for an idea of desserts. All right, so another idea that's very simple for stuffing that many of you may want to have, there's two options. One is gluten-free and one is grain-free. So the gluten-free option, I found this at Whole Foods, but I think you can find it at a lot of stores nowadays. This is a gluten-free, and it's actually dairy and soy-free, 10-minute stuffing mix. So one thing is instead of adding water or vegetable broth, I typically will add bone broth to it just for added nutrients. And I don't use margarine. It says butter or margarine. Don't use margarine. It's bad for your health. And then what I do is I saute onions, celery, sometimes mushrooms in a pan and add it into this before I follow the rest of the instructions. That way it's full of flavor and it's so simple. It's gluten-free and it's easy peasy. For those of you who are more than gluten-free, those of you who are trying to not eat grains or minimize your grains, there's a really yummy recipe on my husband's website, drjockers.com. We're gonna show you how to access it, but it's a grain-free stuffing alternative. Some of the ingredients, I don't have everything because it's Thanksgiving is next week and we're not there yet. But it's gonna have diced up sweet potatoes, diced onion, celery, some mushroom that has 1 apple in it, lots of different seasonings, and either coconut oil or you could use butter, grass-fed butter. And so what you're gonna do is dice up all these veggies. Again, the recipe is on drjockers.com and we're gonna show you how to access it. My intention of this video is to give you inspiration and hope that you can have a delicious feast and still be healthy. So pretty much you dice up and bake this yummy alternative to stuffing and you would be shocked at how delicious it is. Another common staple on Thanksgiving is the mashed potatoes. Some of you might want to eat that and that's fine. It's a special treat. Some of you may want to still try to be more low carb and maybe you don't do well with carbohydrates, so you want to do an alternative. This is famous by now. Many of you know this, but cauliflower is a big alternative to mashed potatoes. Steam up your cauliflower. Usually when I do it, I do a big batch. But you steam up your cauliflower. I usually get frozen, that way I don't have to chop it. And then you put it in a food processor with butter. My secret ingredient that I use is sour cream. A couple scoops of sour cream. I use garlic salt, some salt, black pepper, and a little bit of coconut milk. Pour it in, blend it up, and it is absolutely fabulous. We have a recipe on Dr. Jockers' website. I don't know if he uses it with the sour cream or not, but you can add a dab of that in there and taste it. But it's a delicious alternative. And so the purpose of all these ideas, there's so many more ideas, right? But the purpose of this video is to just, again, tell you that there's ways that you can work around, be healthy, be creative, find little things such as like the cream of mushroom soup. Try to find one that's gluten-free. Try to think creatively. And there's ways like with the cheese, try to find some cheese that's organic. There's so many creative things that you can do to make this holiday season special, fun, and yummy. watching. I hope this movie was encouraging for you. Hey, make sure you put comments below of recipes that you might try or ideas that you might have that you've had success with. If there's any questions you have, feel free to comment below. I check my comments regularly and I'll respond. All right, have a blessed Thanksgiving. I know 2020 has been quite a year for most of us, but guess what? God is still on the throne. He is still sovereign, and we have so much to be grateful for. God bless.
Grateful!